You know when you start, like, a highly complex video game and there's always a tutorial?
Oh yeah, like a safe little starting zone where the stakes are basically zero.
Exactly. A controlled environment where you learn the core mechanics, you figure out which button makes you jump or how to manage your inventory.
Right, you learn how to actually interact with the world before the real challenges begin.
Yeah. But imagine booting up a game on hard mode and the tutorial is just completely missing. You are dropped instantly into this massive, unforgiving, open world.
Oh, that sounds stressful.
It is. You have no idea what the sequence of your very first moves needs to be. And because you choose the wrong action on day one, your character is financially and legally stuck by day three,
Yeah, that is exactly what moving to a new country feels like if you don't have a playbook.
which is the core focus of today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We heavily romanticize the concept of a fresh start.
We really do. People picture the exciting new neighborhood, the new job, finding that perfect local cafe.
Right, the fun stuff. But we're looking at a comprehensive guide published today, April 13th, 2026, by Support Tips. It's titled The New Start Checklist.
And this guide really grounds that romantic vision because the reality of a successful international relocation rests on a very rigid, almost invisible foundation of sequential paperwork.
Yeah, unwritten cultural laws, highly strategic timing, and whether you are relocating for a career or maybe moving to be closer to family, or even if you're just intensely curious about the micro-level logistics of global migration,
Right.
our mission today is to take the chaotic reality of crossing borders and distill it into a clear strategy for you.
And honestly, the most vital piece of that strategy is realizing the work actually starts months before you ever step foot in an airport.
Oh, absolutely.
You cannot just arrive and expect the professional identity you built in your home country to automatically translate into your new country's systems.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because looking at education, say you spend 4 years earning a university degree. You pack your bags, but that degree does not legally cross the border with you. You have to obtain an educational credential assessment or an ECA.
Yes, the ECA.
But honestly, why? If I have a legitimate bachelor's degree from, like, a recognized university in Manila, why doesn't my destination country just accept the piece of paper?
Well, because a local employer, or say an immigration officer, evaluating your file, they have absolutely no frame of reference for what that specific degree equates to in their domestic system.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the grading scales are different, the credit hours vary, the accreditation standards are completely distinct. So an ECA is a formal, legally binding translation of your academic history.
Got it. So it's verifying it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It verifies that your foreign degree is structurally equivalent to, say, a Canadian bachelor's degree. And for systems like Canada's Express Entry, this is mandatory.
You just can't get around it.
No, you cannot claim immigration points for your education without that verification.
Well, the guide points out that World Education Services, or WES, is sort of the dominant organization for North America.
Yes, WES is huge there.
You create an account, and you actually have to get your home university to send sealed official transcripts directly to WES.
Right, directly from the school.
And then in about 7 to 35 business days, they issue a digital report, which, by the way, costs anywhere from $220 to $270.
It's an investment for sure.
But looking at that strict requirement for official sealed documents, what happens to someone who is fleeing a crisis?
That's a great question.
Because if you are displaced by conflict, you aren't exactly pausing to request sealed transcripts from a university registrar's office, right?
What's fascinating here is that the system has actually had to adapt to that exact reality. WES operates something called the Gateway Program.
Oh, okay.
It's designed specifically for refugees and displaced persons.
Mm-hmm.
When a candidate literally cannot obtain official documents from their home institution due to, systemic collapse or personal danger,
Yeah.
the program evaluates their education using alternative, verifiable documentation.
Mm.
It functions as a critical bureaucratic lifeline.
That is so important to have in place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it is worth noting that while WABS dominates North America, the jurisdiction it dictates the agency. So the UK requires assessments through UK ENICS, while the US heavily utilizes an agency called ECE.
Okay, so your academic history is validated. Next up comes language proficiency, specifically if we look at Canada's economic immigration pathways.
Right, the language tests.
There are two massive tests, the IELTS and the CELPIP. Now, IELTS is the global heavyweight. You sit down in a room, have a face-to-face interview with a human examiner.
Very traditional format.
Yeah. But CELPIP, on the other hand, is built exclusively for Canada. It's 100% computer delivered. You are literally just speaking into a microphone.
Right.
But here is my issue with this. If IELTS is the gold standard globally, why am I penalized with a complicated conversion chart just to prove my score?
Well, you aren't being penalized so much as you are dealing with two different measurement philosophies.
Okay, how so?
Canada uses a centralized metric called the Canadian Language Benchmark, or CLB.
Right.
And most economic immigration streams require a minimum of CLB level 7.
CLB 7.
Yeah.
Got it.
Right. But because IELTS is a global test designed for multiple countries, its 9-band scale doesn't perfectly map to the CLB.
Oh, that sounds messy.
It is. To achieve a CLB 7, you need to score exactly a 6.0 in all 4 IELTS categories.
Yeah.
Reading, writing, listening, speaking.
All 4, strictly 6.0.
Yes. If you score an 8.5 in 3 categories, but say a 5.5 in reading, you fail to meet the CLB 7 threshold.
Wow, which feel like a massive trap for applicants.
It creates unnecessary anxiety, frankly. And that's the strategic advantage of taking the CLPIP, the scoring alignment.
Because it's made for Canada.
Exactly. Because it's designed for the Canadian system, the scores map 1-to-1. If you score a 7 on the CLPIP, that is legally recognized as a CLB 7.
Oh, that completely removes the conversion risk.
It does. But regardless of the test you take, the guide issues a very severe warning. These language scores expire exactly 2 years from the test date.
Wait, exactly 2 years.
2 years to the day. Language is a living skill, you know. If you aren't using it, the proficiency degrades, which is why immigration authorities place a hard expiration date on those results.
Okay, so you have the credentials, you have the language scores, you board the plane, you land, you clear customs. You are physically standing in your new city.
The exciting part.
But the guide makes a fascinating point here. Systemically, you don't actually exist yet.
Nope.
The legal you hasn't been born.
And this is where resettlement operates as a strict domino effect.
How do you mean?
Well, you cannot tackle tasks simultaneously. One specific piece of paperwork unlocks the ability to acquire the next piece. And the very first domino.
Let me guess. A local phone number.
Yes. A 24-hour scramble. The guide says to get a prepaid SIM card on day 1, ideally right at the airport, or maybe a local grocery store, with maybe 5 to 10 gigabytes of data.
But why prioritize a phone over, say, securing an apartment or opening a bank account? I feel like shelter is more important.
Physically, yes. But because the bureaucracy demands a local point of contact for literally everything.
Oh, right.
You cannot open a bank account without a local phone number to receive those security texts. You cannot sign a residential lease without a bank account.
And you can't apply for a job without a local number to put on the resume.
Exactly. A prepaid SIM is the only service you can acquire using solely your foreign passport. It doesn't require a local address, and more importantly, it doesn't require a credit history.
Which brings up the credit check hurdle. Because once you use that prepaid number to get an address and a bank account, naturally you want to upgrade to a standard postpaid mobile plan.
Of course you do.
But you get rejected because your pristine credit score from your home country, it vanished the moment you crossed the border. Your local credit score is essentially 0.
It's a huge shock for people. The major telecom providers will run an automated credit inquiry, see 0 history, and either decline the application outright or they'll demand an astronomical cash security deposit.
So what's the workaround?
The strategy here is to explicitly request newcomer plans or bring your own device plans.
Ah, BYD.
Right. These specific tiers bypass the standard credit check. They usually place you on a month-to-month agreement that actually allows you to start building that local credit history.
Okay, so once you have the phone and the bank, you need mobility. And here's where it gets really interesting.
The driving loophole.
Yes, the 3-step driving loophole outlined in this guide is just incredible. Step A is obtaining an international driver's permit, or IDP, from your home country's auto association. But you have to do this before you pack your bags.
Crucial step. An IDP functions solely as a standardized translation booklet of your home license. It does not grant driving privileges on its own.
Right.
And generally, you cannot apply for it once you have departed your home country. It provides immediate temporary driving access upon arrival, but most jurisdictions impose a strict grace period.
Like how long?
You're typically only allowed to drive on foreign credentials for 60 to 90 days after establishing residency.
Which brings us to step B, which is the move most people completely miss.
Oh, almost everyone misses it.
You take your home country license and you walk into your home country's consulate located in your new destination city.
Yeah.
And you ask them to issue a validation letter or a certification of authenticity. But honestly, why would the local Department of Motor Vehicles care what my home country's consulate prints on a piece of letterhead? Isn't that just bureaucratic theater?
It sounds like it, but it is actually a vital mechanism of fraud prevention.
Really?
Yeah. When you walk into a local DMV to surrender your foreign license for a local one, the clerk behind the counter has no realistic way to verify if your foreign card is genuine.
Right. They don't know what a valid license from my country looks like.
Exactly. They don't know if it's been suspended or if you simply printed it in your basement. So by presenting a certified letter from your home country's consulate, you are utilizing diplomatic reciprocity.
Okay, that makes sense.
The consulate is officially verifying to the new host government that your driving history is legitimate. And in many jurisdictions, handing over that specific document compels the DMV to waive the written knowledge exams entirely.
No way. That's huge.
Or, at the very least, it drastically reduces the mandatory waiting periods to acquire a full, unrestricted license.
That is the exact kind of systemic shortcut that saves a newcomer weeks of frustration and lost wages.
Absolutely.
So the legal identity is established. You can communicate, transact, drive. The next phase is raw physical survival, meaning shelter and health.
The basics.
The source issues a massive red flag regarding housing. It says never sign a 12-month lease from overseas from an apartment you have only seen in highly edited photos in a neighborhood you have never walked through at night.
A very common, very expensive mistake. The recommendation is to secure a short-term, one-month rental, like an Airbnb, upon arrival.
Just to have a base.
Yes, this provides a physical base to explore neighborhoods, understand public transit routes, and actually inspect long-term rentals in person.
Makes total sense.
And when you do find a place, you must have a tenant dossier prepared as a single PDF. Landlords are inundated with applicants.
Right, it's competitive.
Extremely.
Hmm.
So presenting a clean file containing your passport, visa, proof of savings, and employment letters instantly elevates your application.
But securing the physical roof is really only half the battle. You have to survive the climate outside of it.
This is a big one.
The guide points out a very dangerous mistake people make. Packing for the climate they are leaving instead of preparing for the extremes of where they are landing.
Yeah.
If you are moving to Scandinavia or Canada in the summer, you still have to survive January.
And newcomers often rely on the fabrics they are accustomed to, which can be disastrous.
The guide uses this analogy. It says, wearing cotton in a freezing climate is like wearing a sponge in a swimming pool. But sponges absorb water. How does absorbing moisture make you freeze?
It is the mechanism of heat loss. When you navigate a cold city, say, walking to the bus, carrying groceries, your body naturally sweats. Cotton absorbs that moisture and traps it directly against your skin. In freezing temperatures, that trapped sweat rapidly cools down, essentially turning your shirt into an icy wet towel.
Oh, that sounds miserable.
It is, and it destroys your body's ability to regulate heat. You have to utilize a layering system, a base layer made of merino wool or synthetic fibers to wick the moisture away from the skin.
Okay, base layer.
Then a mid-layer, like fleece, to trap the body heat, and an outer shell, like a parka, to block the wind and precipitation.
The guide also emphasizes footwear. Standard sneakers on black ice will put you in the emergency room.
Oh, instantly.
You need insulated waterproof boots with a deep, aggressive tread. But outfitting a family with parkas and specialized boots, a proper winter coat costs $200 to $400 alone.
Easily.
So if a newcomer's budget is already stretched thin from plane tickets and security deposits, what are the options?
Well, many newcomer settlement agencies anticipate this exact crisis. They operate winter coat drives, offering free, high-quality gear.
That's amazing.
And additionally, local thrift stores are heavily stocked with climate-appropriate clothing. The key is prioritizing function over fashion during your first winter.
And it's the inverse if you move to the Middle East or Australia, right? Sun exposure becomes a serious occupational hazard.
Yes, completely different extremes.
You need polarized sunglasses, SPF 50-plus wide-brimmed hats, and ironically, light sweaters because office air conditioning is often set to freezing.
That is so true.
But speaking of resources that don't drain your bank account, the guide highlights something completely unexpected. It claims a public library card is more powerful than a credit card.
Sociologically, the public library is the ultimate third place.
Meaning not work and not home.
Exactly. For a newcomer, it functions as a critical bureaucratic hack. It is one of the only indoor, climate-controlled, safe environments in modern society where a person can sit for 8 hours without the implicit expectation of spending money.
Which provides the fundamental infrastructure people lack upon arrival. You get free, high-speed Wi-Fi, computer access to format a localized resume, and printers to produce the endless visa documents the government demands.
Furthermore, libraries are heavily funded integration hubs. They routinely host free English or French conversation circles, tax preparation clinics specifically tailored for newcomers, and citizenship test workshops.
Wow, and all for free.
Usually, you only need your passport and a single piece of mail proving your local address to unlock all of those services.
Which is a profound contrast to the next pillar of physical survival, and that's healthcare.
Oh, yes.
Navigating medical systems is something you absolutely must figure out before an emergency happens. And based on the guide, the systems vary wildly from border to border.
Let's compare Canada and the United Kingdom, for example. They operate on entirely different philosophies of access.
In Canada, healthcare is decentralized. You apply for a provincial health insurance card. But in several provinces, there is a strict, mandatory 3-month waiting period for new permanent residents before coverage actually activates.
Right, 90 days.
Why on earth would a government grant someone permanent residency but legally bar them from the health system for 90 days?
It is an administrative buffer. It's designed to ensure the individual actually intends to reside in that specific province rather than just landing to claim immediate medical benefits and leaving.
Oh, I see.
But it leaves newcomers incredibly vulnerable. The guide stresses that you must purchase private bridge insurance to cover catastrophic emergencies during that 90-day gap.
That's scary.
And even when coverage activates, finding a primary care physician, like a family doctor, often involves joining a centralized government waitlist, like Healthcare Connect in Ontario.
And how long does that take?
You might wait months or even years to be assigned a doctor.
Compare that to the United Kingdom's National Health Service, the NHS. Registering with the general practitioner in the UK is entirely free for all residents, completely regardless of their immigration status.
Such a different approach.
You don't even need to provide a passport or proof of address to legally register, though providing them helps properly sync your medical records. You simply locate a GP practice in your local catchment area and sign up. You often complete the process online in a matter of minutes. The friction is virtually non-existent compared to the Canadian model.
It's night and day. But once you secure the housing, adapt to the climate, and register for health care, you have survived the physical resettlement.
Which brings us to the final phase.
Yes. The guide frames the final phase as the most complex challenge of all: social survival.
The code of conduct. This goes far beyond obeying written traffic laws or paying taxes. It is about decoding the unwritten social contracts, the subtle workplace norms, and the cultural expectations of your new neighbors. And the regional breakdowns in the guide are fascinating because they highlight how easily a newcomer can cause deep offense without ever meaning to.
Oh, absolutely. Let's look at Western Europe and North America.
Yeah.
The dominant cultural framework there is individualism.
Right.
Communication is expected to be direct and explicit. Furthermore, punctuality is deeply tied to respect. In places like Germany or Switzerland, arriving 5 minutes late to a professional meeting isn't just an inconvenience.
No.
No, it is interpreted as a profound lack of respect for your colleague's time.
But look at how that contrasts with East and Southeast Asia. The guide notes that these cultures are heavily rooted in collectivism, group harmony, and hierarchy.
Yes, very
The
different.
concept of face-preserving dignity and avoiding public embarrassment for yourself or the person you were speaking with governs interaction.
Which means communication is inherently indirect. If you propose an idea in a meeting, you are highly unlikely to receive a flat no, as that would cause a loss of face.
So what do they say instead?
Instead, you must learn to interpret phrases like, "I will carefully consider it," or "that might be difficult," as absolute rejections.
Wow. And in the Middle East, the social structure is built heavily on hospitality, honor, and formality. Using the right hand for greetings and eating is customary.
Right.
In Latin America, family obligations frequently supersede individual professional pursuits, and the perception of time is much more fluid. Arriving exactly on time for a social gathering might actually catch the host completely off guard.
And in many parts of Africa, the guide highlights the prevailing philosophy of Ubuntu.
Which translates roughly to, I am because we are, right?
Exactly. It is a profound recognition of communal interconnectedness. Social survival relies heavily on interpreting nonverbal cues and demonstrating overt respect for elders and community leaders.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Practically speaking, how does a newcomer navigate this?
It's tough.
Because if I am moving from a highly direct culture to a culture governed by face, how do I adapt without completely suppressing my own identity?
Well, the sociological research cited in the text indicates that immigrants who actively lean into the customs of their new environment report significantly higher emotional well-being.
Interesting.
Adaptation is not about erasing your heritage. It is about reducing the daily friction of your new life. And the core strategy is observation.
Just watching.
Yes, the guide advises spending your first 90 days simply watching. Observe how locals queue for transit, how they address superiors at work, how they manage conflict. If you misstep, offer a sincere apology and ask for clarification.
However, the guide also draws a very firm, non-negotiable baseline regarding adaptation.
Very important point.
In most developed nations, there is an absolute zero-tolerance policy for discrimination and harassment. Whether you are facing bias based on race, religion, gender identity, or national origin, you are not expected to adapt to abuse.
Absolutely not.
You have the universal right to be free from it and the legal right to document and report that behavior to authorities or HR without fear of retaliation.
That protection is fundamental.
Yeah.
The reality is that the first 90 days of an international move are universally recognized as the most psychologically taxing.
Oh, for sure.
Culture shock is a clinical reality. You will feel exhausted, you'll feel frustrated and homesick. But it is vital to remember that culture shock is temporary.
Right.
By engaging with settlement agencies, spending time in community hubs like the library we mentioned, and allowing yourself to be a beginner, you drastically shorten the duration of that shock.
So what does this all mean? It truly is a strategic operation from start to finish.
It really is.
Moving across the world requires far more than packing boxes. It requires understanding why an ECA validates your past and how the CLPE test secures your future.
Yes.
It's about leveraging the bureaucratic power of an international driver's permit and a consulate letter, understanding the thermal dynamics of merino wool, navigating health wait lists, and quietly observing the unspoken social rules of your new home.
And as we wrap up this analysis, there is a deeper dynamic worth considering. We have explored the intense physical logistics of integrating into a new community. But we live in a hyper-connected digital age. Today, you can instantly translate any language in real time on your smartphone.
Right.
You can video call your family and friends back home every single evening. The question is, do these incredible technological tools actually help us integrate into our new countries faster?
Oh, wow.
Or do they allow us to build a comforting, permanent digital bubble that quietly insulates us, ultimately delaying true, uncomfortable, local cultural immersion?
That really reframes everything. It completely changes how we should look at that day one SIM card.
Exactly.
Is it the tool that connects you to your new world or the anchor that keeps you tied to the old one?
Something to think about.
Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the hidden logistics of global resettlement. We hope it provided you with a clear playbook, a deeper understanding of the mechanisms behind the paperwork, and a lot to think about. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep exploring the world around you.